All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports and FanDuel. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I'm here. I am ready to discuss last night's Denver Nuggets win as they take down the Sacramento Kings 122-108. Another really impressive victory for the Nuggets, their fifth win in a row. They won the last four games on their homestand and the first game on their road trip. Really impressive stuff from them. They continue to find ways to improve and continue to find ways to get better. And another guy who continues to find ways to improve and get better is Nikola Jokic, who, I mean, it's hard to come up with new superlatives for him. I'll go over some of his numbers in just a little bit, but positive to say, like that dude is unbelievable, and it is a lot of fun to be able to cover the games that he plays. The rest of the Nuggets also came to play in varying ways. I thought that there were a lot of positive performances across the board. The Kings, in a desperate position, given that they were 3-7, I believe, heading into that game. You're playing at home, you're playing against a really good team, but a team that you've beaten in the past before. And you've also got a couple of guys that, like, okay, they've got some reason to really try against the Nuggets. And Denver's on a 4-game winning streak. Maybe you can catch them. There's clearly that opportunity there for the Kings if they played well. But the Nuggets got them out of playing well. They got them away from playing good basketball. And it was just really impressive to watch what the Nuggets were able to do. And I continue to be pleasantly surprised by the way the Nuggets have entered the season, looked good immediately, taken things seriously, and gotten off to the good start that I've been talking about for a long time, which basically is just the main focus. Is you know that the schedule is going to get really hard in the middle. You know the schedule from like game 30 to game 60 is going to be really difficult. And it's not going to come as easy as it has over the course of this stretch. And yeah, Denver lost a couple of games initially to Golden State, to Portland, where, yeah, kind of had it slip through their fingers. But rather than let that kind of become the norm, they've immediately straightened out, and getting to 8-2 in the first 10 games is a really good testament to the kind of basketball that they are playing. We'll talk about the entire game as a whole. We'll also mention in the second segment the game that they are playing tonight on the second night of a back-to-back, the way that I think that they're going to approach that one. And we've got a couple of other things to talk about here as well. Denver's defense in the first quarter of this game last night, they allowed 34 points. Felt like they were just kind of like they let go of the rope a little bit. They started the game pretty nicely and forced a couple of timeouts from from Sacramento. But then Sacramento went on a run, and it was Malik Monk. It was Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. Nick Clifford played well. Drew Eubanks was 8 of 9 from the field. He actually played a really good basketball game. Was a +4 in a game that lost by 14. It's because Domantas Sabonis was -18. He was not helpful for what they needed. There were a lot of other reasons. But it felt like Denver got up in this game early and then felt like they could relax, felt like, okay, we're good. Scoring was super easy at the outset, and defending the Kings was easy enough that they relaxed a little bit. And lo and behold, the first quarter ends and the Nuggets are down. They're down 34-33. And it felt like, okay, have to refocus, have to get settled up here. The rest of the way, they allowed 22 points in the second quarter and then 26 points in each of the third and fourth quarters. Really good defense, really impressive stuff from them. And look, like the Kings are not playing great basketball right now. They are not like super blended well, but the problem that you would think you would have with the Kings is on the defensive end, because they still have a lot of talented scorers. Like Sabonis, 8 of 12 from the field. DeRozan, 7 of 15 from the field, but you know that he's liable to do better than that. Zach LaVine, of course, is a very dangerous scorer. And then you've got Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, guys like that coming off the bench, and they weren't even the most efficient guy. It was Drew Eubanks. So there were a lot of reasons, I think, to say, okay, the Nuggets defense is probably not going to be awesome in this one. Their offense may have to carry the day. It was the opposite. Like Denver's offense at various points, I thought was a little shakier, but their defense throughout the game, pretty impressive, pretty good stuff. Now, the offensive rating, it actually, this is where pace really comes into play. Denver played at such a slow pace that the numbers that I'm sharing, not necessarily true. Like Denver's offensive rating in this game was 130, at least according to ESPN. Defensive rating, it was 115. So still not good, but it felt like because of the slow pace that every single possession mattered. And every single time Denver got a stop, it felt like they could then go on a run. And the offense they used to take advantage of that was really great across the board. A lot of great performances from a lot of different people. Christian Brown was okay, but he tied for the team lead in plus minus at plus 18. Aaron Gordon was also plus 18, 5 of 11 from the field for him, 2 of 4 from 3, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 17 points. He was very good in this game. Cam Johnson, I thought, was better defensively and as a passer than he certainly was as a scorer. Only 5 points, 0 of 3 again from 3. Just, I don't know what it's going to take for Cam Johnson to get going from 3. He's been a career 38, 39% three-point shooter his entire life, and for the Nuggets, he just hasn't been able to find anything. And then off the bench, there were some guys that we'll get to in the second segment for sure. But you really have to focus in on Joker, right? Like, really got to focus in on Joker. 35 points in 33 minutes. Again, first night of a back-to-back, they were able to keep his minutes down to a reasonable level, and that is a great sign. 33 minutes, 35 points, 16 of 19 from the field. Missed 3 total shots. Actually 4 if you want to count the heave that he missed, but fortunately the box score doesn't do that. 1 of 2 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, and had 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and just 3 turnovers on the night. He was tremendous. Like, this is where you really start to get going from the perspective of, okay, there's just not a lot of like superlatives you can share, you know? Like there's not a lot of things that you can say from the perspective of, yeah, Nikola Jokic. What more could you possibly say in this stretch? But I could still say a lot, still say how efficient he is, still say the amazing nature of the game that he's putting together. Still really, really impressive. Every time the Kings would try to be physical with him, he would maneuver around what they were doing. He would go, like, not through them all the time, but he would be patient and do a lot of things. Good Lord. Do a lot of things where he would, sorry, I got distracted a little bit by this text. The floater was the key. The runner was the key. And that's exactly what you're hoping for in this Nuggets offense, where everybody else is kind of orbiting around him, spacing, maybe getting to the dunker spot every now and then. But for the most part, it's Joker in the middle of the floor, operating where he operates best. And it's not him camping out on the perimeter, trying to run the DHO game all the time, though he did it on occasion. The best offense that the Nuggets can get to is when Jokic gets below the free throw line and then either draws 6 defenders somehow to him, or he doesn't have that many defenders around him. He has enough space for that floater to get up and get in. 11-foot shots, 12-foot shots for Joker are like 3-foot layups. They just have been unbelievable. Jamal Crawford on the broadcast last night was in awe at the touch that he had. I think the line that he said was he has an appointment with the rim, or a pact with the rim or something like that, that allows him to not miss floaters. And he might be right. He might be right at this point. It was a very impressive performance, a shooting performance from him. and just love to see what he's able to put together and when he gets the space, when he gets the breathing room in order to do that. Because you know that like when his touch is going down and it looks like he is going down, like 16 of 19 is on the table. I think there are a couple of people that are like, he missed one. Yeah, he did. And that's because it's not normal what he's doing right now. On the season, just looking at some of the numbers that he has put together, currently shooting 78.6% from 2-point range, leads the league in assists, close to the league lead in rebounds. The true shooting percentage is 74.8%. That's ridiculous. 36.8 PER, 19.2 box plus minus, leading the league in assist rate. The 19.2 box plus minus is just like, that's the craziest number you could possibly put together there. Nobody has ever done anything close to that. And the fact that Joker is even close at this point to like that, those historical highs, setting the bar even higher for himself is really, really encouraging for the Nuggets. Like, he's in a great place. And as long as the Nuggets continue to step up around him when necessary, that he doesn't have to play 40 minutes that often, that he can take there was a moment in the fourth quarter. We'll get to this in the second segment with talking about the bench. There was a moment in the quarter where Crawford and the broadcast on NBC pointing out that he's on the bench, legs crossed, very comfortable, just chilling, watching what Jonas and the bench is doing. And it's because they were able to be successful that Joker came back in with about 5 minutes left to go in the quarter. He played basically the entire third, but then got to sit for the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter because the bench was good. And that is how you keep minutes down. That is how you keep his burden a little bit less, like, so that when he comes back in, he can really line up and really amp up the usage and the efficiency and play his best version of basketball, where it doesn't always feel like he has to hold things back and save it for the end of the game, because he's already at the end of the game. He didn't have to come back in at the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter. He came back in at the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter. And you do that the entire season or pretty close to it, you're going to be fresher for the playoffs. Like, it just is going to happen. So despite the fact that his usage is creeping up there a little bit, it's back up to now, it's 25.7% is not that high, but it's up higher than where it was. It's going to keep getting higher if he keeps averaging 30. I'll say that. But that's something the Nuggets will live with. They will figure out. It'll be just fine for them. I'm looking forward to seeing how their offense continues to evolve as Cam Johnson continues to get better within the offense. He'll take on some responsibilities. The fact that Joker only had 7 assists, I think, really highlights the fact that Denver still struggling from the 3-point line at times, still struggling on the cuts at times. But overall, like, you can't really ask for much more from what the Nuggets have done so far. They've been very consistent. Christian Brown made a 3 right at the end of the game to get to 2 of 5 from 3. So maybe he can get out of his shooting slump that he's been in. Aaron Gordon continues to play great basketball. Cam Johnson, I mean, that's the one you can ask about, obviously, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But tell you what, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Jamal Murray, who deserves a lot of credit for how he stepped up in the fourth quarter, as well as various players on the Nuggets bench. We'll talk about that next here on Pickaxe and Roll. This podcast is brought to you by Delete Me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone feel vulnerable. Data brokers, they profit off of your data. It's a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. Have you ever been the victim of identity theft, harassment, doxing? If you haven't, you probably know someone who has. Delete Me can help.
Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to deleteme.com/hit and use promo code HIT at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/HIT and enter code HIT at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/HIT, code HIT.
All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll, Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's get into another aspect of why the Nuggets were able to win, why they're able to keep Jokic's minutes down, why they are able to be a little bit more fresh heading into the second half of a back-to-back tonight that we'll talk about in just a little bit as well. Jamal Murray and the Nuggets bench unit played pretty good basketball. I really liked what I saw from a lot of those guys, but it wasn't perfect in the first half. Jonas Valanciunas really struggled from the field in the first half. It's one of the reasons why Denver didn't score as much as they probably could have. He was like 1 of 6 from the field in the first half alone. Tim Hardaway Jr. came back to earth a little bit from a shooting perspective, 2 of 8 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. I don't have a single problem with any of the shots that he took, though, so not a problem in the slightest. Bruce Brown did close. He played great throughout. Julian Strawther got 3 minutes in this game. He, because of the way that the rotation kind of worked out, Murray was on the floor for a while. Rather than play him all the way through until the end of the half, which he did at the end of the game, by the way. Rather than play him all the way through, Strawther came back in for 3 minutes, basically played some backup point guard for the Nuggets, and not what I would have chosen. I probably would have gone to Jalen Pickett if that was the particular situation, but Strawther didn't really do much of anything. And then Peyton Watson was okay. He fouled out in this game, 3 rebounds, 0 points, still struggling to finish around the rim a little bit. But the defense was pretty good. It was solid. So they weren't great in the first half, right? They weren't great. It was, I think, double-digit minuses or pretty close to it across the board. So how do you respond? How, in that situation, do you get better? And you look at the plus minuses at the end of the game. Jonas Valanciunas somehow finished a +3. Tim Hardaway Jr. was a -3. Bruce Brown was a net neutral. Julian Strawther +4 in his 3 minutes. Peyton Watson a -4. That's a lot better. That's a lot better than where it was. And that was because the third quarter when those guys started to come in, but then fourth quarter when Valanciunas came in for Jokic, really good stuff. And you got to start with Jamal Murray on that. 23 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, only 3 turnovers, which again is pretty good ratio for a leading ball handler in this situation. 7 of 15 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3, 5 of 5 from the line. That's a pretty efficient line, despite the fact you're not quite at 50%, but when you're taking that many threes, you're still getting to a pretty good place from an efficiency standpoint. The way that Jamal got going in that fourth quarter was he found an opportunity to get a little bit of a respite in the third quarter. He rested for a little bit, came back in. They closed the third quarter. And then fourth quarter, you kind of know, okay, Joker's off the floor. I got to really turn up the aggression. And it wasn't that aggressive. Like it was just a couple of shots. It was just a few free throws. And then he was really setting the table for everybody else. Pretty sure he was 5 of 12 heading into the fourth quarter. So it wasn't like when Jamal turned up the aggressiveness, it was like super noticeable. But it was at the beginning of the quarter where he really got them going. He really set the table for everybody and got to the free throw line a few times and then made a couple of really clutch threes. That was over Keon Ellis, who's one of the better defenders and certainly better defenders on the Kings. But it was just a really nice, well thought out approach to the way that he needed to get there. At one point, he was getting doubled and like they're hard hedging against him, trying to get the ball out of his hands, trying to force a turnover. And you can do that against Jamal. He's not going to be perfect in those situations, especially when he's tired. And he got tired throughout this game. I will say that. But the way he managed it, the way he was able to get to his spots and then quickly rise up and get one of those threes off, really impressive. Set the table for the rest of the quarter for the Nuggets, and then allowed other guys like Bruce Brown, like Jonas Valanciunas, to really take the pressure off of him when he was the guy who was taking the pressure off of them initially with the double teams that he's drawing, the hard hedges, and like forcing the Kings defense out to the perimeter. They responded to him being aggressive, and it freed up everybody else to be successful. So really good stuff from Jamal Murray. I said this on Locked On last night. If the latest baseline for him, he's at 23 points and 8 assists tonight. If he's consistently in that 22-7, 23-8 kind of range, that's a really good basketball player. Like that is I know people are never going to be fully happy if he's not averaging the kind of numbers that Jokic averages. But like that's impossible because Jokic is Jokic. Like he's the greatest player many of us have ever seen before. Like Jamal's not going to average that efficiency, partially because he's taking like crazy shots half the time. But like his ability to complement and augment what Jokic does and what Valanciunas has been doing has been really important. It's been really awesome to see him lean into shooting threes a little bit more, him kind of taking over in different moments and knowing what his responsibility is, where he can really help the team, and then taking on that responsibility has been really great. That's exactly what you want to see from your second best player. You want him to assume that mantle as much as he can, and it helps everybody else like down the line. It really makes things more simple for the group. It allows Tim Hardaway Jr. to just focus on shooting threes. It allows Bruce Brown to take on other lesser ball handlers and like drive in transition and to be a slasher and to cut. And then he gets to spot up, and he's been great spotting up. Bruce Brown has, including on one of the final plays of the game where Joker threw no look pass to him in the right corner and he hits it. But just, I think that what Jamal has done with that second unit has been really valuable. It's one of the reasons why they are winning these games. And I hope they continue to get to it. He's not essential all the time. It's why I think he'll probably rest tonight. It's why I think he should probably take the second night of a back-to-back off. But I do think that what he does, it's worthy of all-star consideration at this point. He might not get it. It might still be at that threshold where other guys are still worth a little bit more. But I don't really see it that way. What he's done for the Nuggets, like the reason why they are as good as they are, in part is because Jamal Murray has been really good. So I think there's a lot of credit to be had across the board here. Noam Chomsky in the comments says, I hope Sacramento blows it up and we can somehow acquire Keon Ellis. Been talking about Keon Ellis for a long time in the group chat. It's been interesting to see what he does and what it looks like. I hope that Denver should continue to be aggressive. It's not one of those situations where when the trade deadline comes up and Denver's looking at different things, I don't know. We'll see what happens here with it, but I do think that the Nuggets deserve to have that opportunity. We'll see whether they don't deserve. Like if they stay aggressive, that's really what I mean. Like they should continue to stay aggressive and look for those moves. Don't want to just sit on your laurels just because you're really good when you could continue to be great. Okay. Bruce Brown, as I mentioned, deserves credit too. He closed this game in place of Cam Johnson. That was deserved. It wasn't because Cam was bad. Like he was plus 12 and the Nuggets were really good in his minutes. It was more so the idea that Bruce, as a guard, allowed Christian Brown to move to the 3. They needed another guard that could really match up with, like, Malik Monk was coming in off the bench, Russell Westbrook in off the bench. You have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Like you want switchability across all of those guards, and Bruce was able to give them that. He was able to play quicker and more athletic and just be very disruptive with his hands. And Christian Brown also like just going to be helpful as a defender in that case. So I do think that Denver's been doing a lot of good things. I think that their rotations are starting to figure some stuff out. Cam's eventually going to get going at some point, and that will really help them. They'll really make things even less complicated because like they're going to want to find more opportunities for him. It's going to be good. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like going forward, but just another really strong win for the Nuggets. They're fifth in a row. They haven't really like faltered from a details standpoint yet, which is where when you're in a winning streak, a lot of times Denver will kind of get to this point to get to this place where either they are playing so hard just to try to maintain the winning streak that they're just gassing themselves out, or they get so sloppy because they think they're so good and then they like mess things up because of how like undetailed and lax they are, and you actually start playing some bad basketball in the midst of a winning streak despite the fact that you're winning. That hasn't been what Denver's done so far. We'll see what happens going forward. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm curious to see what they bring to the table. As I am looking at it now on FanDuel, as we transition to Nuggets Clippers, according to FanDuel, the Nuggets are 3-point favorites, -3 against the Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back. That's how good they have been. And like, because the Clippers didn't play last night, the Nuggets are coming in on the second night of a back-to-back. Usually that is priced into these things. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of the Nuggets starters sat, like whether it was Aaron Gordon again, whether it was Jamal Murray again, maybe Jokic actually sits down for the first time. Although if the betting markets were getting any whiff of that, then the line would not be -3. I'll tell you that. But right now it just does look like the Nuggets are in a good place from a betting perspective. Currently, like if Jokic plays, he's putting up 30 a lot. Like he's been really good. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's definitely gonna do it again. But on FanDuel, he is +164 to have 30 plus points in this game, at least as I currently see it now. And to me, that is an absolute slam dunk if he plays, because he's just been so good from a point scoring perspective lately and extremely efficient. And if the Nuggets do sit a couple of starters, then you're probably going to see him get even more opportunities. So it's going to be fascinating, going to be very interesting to see. Snowwolf in the comments says, I can't wait to see the black rainbows today. Are they wearing the black rainbows? Are they the city editions? That's interesting. Why would they wear them on the road like this? That's an odd time for them to break them out. But hey, I mean, I won't be complaining because I love those uniforms. I think they're great. I think that they bring back a lot of nostalgia from the bubble where Jamal was wearing that one while he's going off in game 6 against the Jazz, and the Nuggets were playing great basketball in those just high flying, high fun levels of basketball. And yeah, we'll see if they can recreate some fun moments in those things. That would be great. For tonight, I do think the streak probably ends. I do think that Denver, like the Clippers, are kind of in a desperate situation, and they are better than the Kings. They just are. They are in a desperate situation, and I would guess that they continue to find ways to, like the Clippers are going to find ways to get better defensively. Excuse me. And if they do find ways to get better defensively, are the Nuggets going to be able to slow them down on the other end? What are they going to be able to do against James Harden? I'm not sure if Kawhi Leonard is back for this one. He's been out for a while. Let me just check the injury report real quick and see if there is something that can be determined from that, because if there is, that would be great. Oh, Kawhi is out. Kawhi is out tonight, as is Bradley Beal. So Denver's playing a hurt Clippers team. They're playing them. Obviously, Harden is extremely dangerous, and if Denver's not great defensively, then Harden will take advantage of them from a physical like from a scoring standpoint and setting the table for Ivica Zubac and Brook Lopez off the bench for them. But they don't have Norm Powell. They don't really have another great scorer. Watch out for John Collins. He's somebody that will probably set the bar pretty high in terms of what they're looking for. He's a guy that I think Denver just struggles with for whatever reason. And I will be very interested to see how Denver approaches it. Vlada, Kawhi is out tonight along with Bradley Beal. So if they are able to win, I mean, there's a reason, I guess, why Denver's -3, because the Clippers are not fully healthy either. But Harden is still capable of putting up 30 and 10. And if he's able to do that or somewhere close to that, setting the table for the rest of the team in the process, then the Clippers will have opportunities. But Bogdan Bogdanovic will create some good looks for them. There's a lot of guys that I think can be successful. But if Denver can keep up with them from a shooting perspective, then who knows? Maybe Denver has enough. We'll see. But all right, folks, I think that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll. I will be back tomorrow, same time or so. Going to react to whatever happens in this Nuggets Clippers game. Should be good, and very much looking forward to seeing whether Denver can keep up the streak. We will see what happens, but for now, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I will talk to you guys very soon.